This is Our News, the weekend edition. And on the broadcast tonight, the national COVID death toll increases by 5. Plus, the Pan American Health Organization expressing concern over the country's ballooning coronavirus cases. And the teachers' union calling for national exams to be cancelled.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks so much for joining us. 5 more people died from COVID-19 on Friday. The death toll now at 55. The Ministry of Health confirming the deaths of 4 women and 1 man, all happening between August 14th and August 30th. One of the victims is a 58-year-old woman of Long Island. 3 women ages 71, 54, and 20, and a 67-year-old man, all are from New Providence. And the death toll could continue to increase as 5 more deaths are under investigation, bringing that total to 15. The ministry also confirming 90 additional cases of coronavirus. 63 are on New Providence, 14 on Grand Bahama, 6 on Abaco, 2 on Inagua and Long Island each, 1 on Eleuthera, and 2 cases with locations still pending. Today, the national total stands at 2,476 cases with 1,451 active. 76 people remain hospitalized, while 948 people have recovered. Well, government easing restrictions on inter-island travel, relaxing the need for a negative RT-PCR COVID-19 test before traveling to a family island. However, this amendment does not apply to anyone traveling from New Providence or Grand Bahama. According to the most recent amended orders, before traveling to another island, everyone must apply for and obtain a travel visa. Upon arrival, they are also required to quarantine at a government-identified facility for 14 days. However, anyone traveling from Grand Bahama or New Providence will be required to produce a negative RT-PCR COVID-19 test before applying for the travel visa. The amended order also states that the results of the COVID-19 test is valid for 5 days from the date the test was taken. Children ages 10 or younger are exempt from taking the RT-PCR COVID test before traveling, but they will be required to quarantine. Meantime, those traveling inter-island between Chub Key, Harbor Island, Long Key, Long Island, Ragged Island, Rum Key, San Salvador, and Spanish Wells will not be required to undergo quarantine. Well, the Bahamas was once again mentioned during this week's Pan American Health Organization weekly press briefing as a country to watch, citing an alarming number of growing COVID-19 cases. Giorgio Bain reports.
During this week's PAHO press briefing, Dr. Carissa Etienne stated that the escalating COVID-19 cases in the Bahamas remain a concern for the second week in a row.
Along most of the Caribbean, however, we're continuing to see a surge of the virus. In fact, nearly half of COVID-19 cases in the Bahamas have been reported in the last 2 weeks. As we look south, with the exception of Nicaragua and Costa Rica, which just reported its highest daily case count, most countries in Central America have seen COVID-19 cases drop over the last week.
With countries such as the Bahamas showing an alarming surge in COVID-19 cases, Etienne pointed out her concerns for the growing number of healthcare workers who have been infected and succumbed to the COVID-19 virus. The Caribbean and the Americas record the highest number of healthcare workers infected in the world. She called on governments to ensure the protection of healthcare workers during this pandemic.
Our data shows that nearly 570,000 health workers across our region have fallen ill, and more than 2,500 have succumbed to the virus. Based on this data, to date, we have the highest number of healthcare workers infected in the world. Many health workers were redirected to the outbreak response without sufficient training to protect themselves as they were treating COVID-19 patients. And with a surge in staff and patients, hospitals became overcrowded, and many were too slow to implement triaging protocols.
Just last week, the Consultant Physician Staff Association president pointed out that many healthcare workers in the Bahamas are experiencing burnout due to long work hours. This is something that Dr. Edian said she strongly disagrees with.
Health workers should be working regular shifts, not overtime long hours, since we know that the risk of infection increases the longer we work. This will in turn reduce burnout and stress. In the event that health workers get sick, including those who may not be caring for patients directly, like our janitorial and cafeteria staff and hospital administrators, they should have the resources, the help, and the compensation that they deserve.
Reporting for Our News Weekend Edition, I'm Georgia Bain.
The teachers union is calling for national exams to be cancelled. Its president said this week that having the exams would be a major mistake. Jillian Gray has that.
BUT President Belinda Wilson said trying to stage the national exams at this point is a major mistake by the Ministry of Education.
The Ministry of Education is making a major mistake with the sitting of the national examination, BJC and the BGCSEs, because the numbers are rising and you now are going to have various persons, not only students, but they've also opened up the invigilation to persons from the wider community or the public.
Minister of Education Jeffrey Lloyd announced this week that national exams would resume on September 14th. Making a case for why it was unwise for the exams to continue, Wilson said she's not certain it's safe for teachers or students to all be in the same room. Adding that the country must proceed with caution, she alleged that an outbreak of COVID-19 on a family island started from someone invigilating examinations.
Based on information that I would have received, the outbreak of COVID-19 in the Berry Islands actually started from someone who was invigilating examinations at R.N. Gomez All-Aid School. So we really need to continue to have caution, and we're not confident that the Ministry of Education has put in place all of the safety protocols that are necessary.
Wilson said there has not been any discussion with the union about national examinations. She said the ministry should cancel the exams and use their time and energy to ensure that the reopening of school is successful.
Advocate that they do not have the sitting of the exams because persons have already gone to colleges and universities. The summer is over, so there are no summer jobs. The ministry has already made a decision not to allocate any international scholarships, new scholarships for this year. So I believe that they can use the system that has been used in 160 countries and 10,000 schools. What they're doing is they're forecasting the grades.
Attempts to reach education officials for comment were unsuccessful up to news time. Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Jillian Gray.
1 year after Hurricane Dorian's passing, Abaco residents are still citing security issues on that island, with some suggesting that there isn't enough law enforcement officers on the island. Well, the National Security Minister this week shot down those claims, charging that there's a significant presence of officers on both Abaco and Grand Bahama.
We understand that the environment there is different. We just came through a major natural disaster. We understand that. And we understand that there will be individuals who will continue to try to take advantage of that. After having said that, there is a high level of commitment by the Royal Bahamas Police Force, by the Royal Bahamas Defense Force on that island.
According to Dames, there are senior level officers on that island traversing communities to hear the concerns of the residents. Additionally, he says their only objective is to ensure that Bahamians are protected.
Our only objective is to ensure that the people of this country, no matter where they may be, are protected. Whether that's Abaco, whether that's the Keys, Green Turtle Key, whether it's Hopetown, whether it's Manawar Key. I've been on all of those and walked them and met with the residents. And I hear from people on those keys on a daily basis. We're not perfect. We're not going to prevent every crime.
Still ahead for us, cabinet ministers reflect on the anniversary of Hurricane Dorian. Plus, UB's virtual signing for the establishment of an architecture endowment fund. Those stories and more when we return.
We know you missed us. We missed you too. Bowflex Barbie here, and I'm so excited to let you know that Morning Moves is coming back to RTV Channel 212. Starting September 7th, every Monday and Wednesday at 6 and 9 a.m. and Saturday at 8 and 10 a.m., you'll get to sweat with me right from the comfort of your home. Be sure to tune in for my fun and exciting workouts and health tips from our wellness experts. Join me for Morning Moves, the perfect way to start your day.
As the country recognized the one-year anniversary for Hurricane Dorian this past week, President of the Bahamas Christian Council, Bishop Delton Fernando, says the focus must be placed on rebuilding devastated islands stronger than ever.
As we contemplate the way forward, I also believe that we are on the precipice of greatness. We have come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord. Where we end up from this point is totally up to us.
Bishop Fernando's message came after Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis acknowledged this week that not enough progress has been made in the rebuilding of Abaco and Grand Bahama communities. On September 1st, 2019, Hurricane Dorian made landfall in the Abacos as the most powerful storm in the region on record, leaving a trail of devastation behind. It then struck Grand Bahama, where it lingered for days, flattening communities and hindering rescue efforts. The extreme winds and storm surge devastated entire communities, leaving at least 74 people dead and thousands homeless and displaced. Despite the devastation caused by the storm, Fernando says he believes things will get better soon.
The lives of our loved ones and the pain that we have lived through and endured to this date cannot be in vain. We must give meaning to what it means to aspire to create better lives, a better and more equitable economy, better businesses, and better homes.
Following the anniversary of Hurricane Dorian, two cabinet ministers offered encouraging words to survivors of that monster hurricane. Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd said his heart bleeds for those directly impacted by the monster hurricane, adding that we must commit as a community to rebuilding better than before.
Our commitment as a community, not just as a government, but as a community, ought to be that we will build back better, and that we will do all of the necessary precautions that we need to take in order so that we can mitigate against disasters of this kind, whether they are man-made because of whatever the situation, or natural like the pandemic and of course hurricanes.
Meantime, Health Minister Renwood Wells spoke to the resiliency of the Bahamian people.
And I just want to encourage those in Grand Bahama, in Abaco, to stay the course, continue to build, because this government is building with them. And on behalf of me and my wife and my children, we are constantly praying for the situation of those who would have lost loved ones in Dorian.
When Our News, the weekend edition, comes back from the break, the Grand Bahama Port Authority's feeding program feeds thousands. We'll tell you more.
We know you missed us. We missed you too. Bowflex Barbie here, and I'm so excited to let you know that Morning Moves is coming back to RTV Channel 212. Starting September 7th, every Monday and Wednesday at 6 and 9 a.m. and Saturday Saturday at 8 and 10 a.m., you'll get to sweat with me right from the comfort of your home. Be sure to tune in for my fun and exciting workouts and health tips from our wellness experts. Join me for Morning Moves, the perfect way to start your day.
Welcome back to Our News, the weekend edition. In the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on the economy, the Grand Bahama Port Authority's Disaster Relief Foundation has created a feeding program to assist residents of that island. Grand Bahama Port Authority General Counsel and Director of Grand Bahama Disaster Relief Foundation, Carla McIntosh, says the goal is to ensure no one in Grand Bahama goes hungry.
In April and May of this year, we commenced our own feeding program, where we sourced a number of food items locally. And we teamed up with Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority, who assisted by sorting and packing of the goods. And then the goods were placed in the hands of various entities like Urban Renewal and Social Services, who distributed the goods throughout the community from east to west.
McIntosh says since starting the feeding program, thousands of food packages have been distributed.
We did about 800 boxes each month. The foundation was also pleased to partner with Reach Out Ministries in helping individuals and families through a weekly donation of $1,000 a week to help with their feeding program. The program first kicked off with supplying baby food and diapers to about 500 mothers. Then the second week, they gave about 700 grocery items. And in the third week, they were up to about 1,500 persons giving the grocery items too. That weekly donation started in May, and it's still ongoing.
Up next, Bahamian architects invest in human potential at the University of the Bahamas. So stay with us.
Happy Foods, Happy Foods, 242, 242, Happy Foods, 242, food galore just for you. Happy Food, 242, food galore just for you. This ain't no talking show, it's an eating show. Sasha Laurel is the host of Happy Foods, 242, food galore just for you. Happy Foods, 242, food galore.
Finally tonight, 5 Bahamian architects have pooled funds to establish the University of the Bahamas' Architecture Endowment Fund. Henry Hepburn, Michael Alexu, Fred Propal, Michael Digges, and Anthony Jervis among the fund's first donors, collectively contributing $25,000. And to mark the occasion, UB held a virtual signing ceremony recently. UB President Dr. Rodney Smith believes their gift will play a pivotal role in the lives of those who will design and shape the country's future.
The university is always pleased to partner with donors who have particular passions and areas of interest, as these 5 men do. But we at UB are particularly pleased to partner with them because they are 5 men who have, in a few different ways, been connected to the institution for a long time and have already played important parts in the life of our architecture program and its students.
The fund will allow for scholarships, study abroad opportunities, and a distinguished lecture series, extending access to higher learning for architecture majors, in addition to international exposure and knowledge sharing.
Our interest is to see young Bahamians reach higher goals. We would like to bring world-class opportunities to all Bahamians, even if they cannot afford to experience them. Today, Bahamians have a lot to be proud of, but we expect those that follow to reach higher. Higher not just because we want to, but because we must understand a different world filled with many different challenges.
UB graduate Fred Popol says having the opportunity to go to college as a first-generation college student literally changed his life.
To have a great country, we have to provide opportunities for the young people amongst us. With this gift, we are ensuring that more kids from all walks of life get the opportunity to fulfill their curiosity and to actually lean into a profession that is so meaningful. My first professor in architecture, Henry Hepburn, is here. My first employer, Mike Alexio, is here. And so this is a wonderful opportunity to stand shoulder to shoulder with men who have truly been mentors and way showers to me.
Well, that's a look at stories making news this evening, but stay tuned. Our extended weather forecast is coming right up. And that's going to do it for us on a Saturday night. I'm Andrew Knowles. For all of us here at Our News, thanks so much for watching. Let's remember to be safe and look out for each other. Have a great evening.